Welcome to the BMC meeting to be followed by the BRTB meeting. And welcome our MDOT friends who are here. And I think the agenda is going to be pretty quick. We've got our minutes and we've got our audit. I do want to say though that Chesapeake Connect, any of us were on, was awesome in Savannah. And fascinating to look at a smaller jurisdiction that has a lot of the same problems that we have. And, you know, I've been on 6 of these trips now. And it's, I just want to thank the team for making sure that we get to meet with the business community, with the elected leaders, with government people, with nonprofits, with church organizations, faith people, and really get the breadth of what makes a jurisdiction tick. I gotta say, it's frustrating that we all have the same problems and none of us have solved them. I guess that's life. So thank you all for that. And I look forward to finding, I think there's one more trip and it was my term. And I think you're gonna get to decide where we go. So we'll talk, right? We'll all decide where we go. The minutes. Everybody, of course, has read them. Any, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? In favor? Aye. Right. So on the audit, and we have a presentation, right?
We do. Toby Hollander from SB and Company is going to present this year's audit. All right. Thank you, Toby. Sorry.
Good morning. Appreciate the opportunity to present the audit results to you today. All right, my name is Toby Hollander. I'm the engagement partner on the audit. Returning on the audit this year, we have Sheena Robinson, who's our engagement manager, and Chris Lehman, our concurrent partner. They were not able to make it today, so it'll be me presenting the results. We performed, our scope of services include the audit of the June 30, 2025 financial statements, as well as the indirect cost report for 2025. We also do the single audit in accordance with uniform grant guidance, and we're available for year-round consultation. As management has questions throughout the year, we do provide guidance and questions as needed. A summary of our results is we issued an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. That's what we call a clean opinion or the best opinion that we could offer. We discovered no instances of fraud. While this is not a fraud audit in scope, we're always looking out for fraud in all of our discussions and all of our testing to make sure we address fraud and would let you know if anything we were either discovered or we made aware of. We discovered no material weaknesses in internal controls, and we received full cooperation from management. We do ask for a lot throughout our audit, and they provided everything timely and as needed to complete the audit within the time frame. On the bottom of the slide, you'll see a summary. The change in net assets on a 3-year basis. In 2025, we had a growth of 141,000. That's consistent growth over the last few years compared to 102,000 in 24 and about 53,000 in 23, resulting in net assets in 25 about 3.5 million. In our single audit, if we had any findings, we would include that in the report, but there were no findings noted. I wanted to highlight our audit approach, and I won't go into great detail on this, but the gist of this is that we use what we call a 4CAM audit approach, which is focused on risk controls and account misstatement. And we really want to spend the most amount of time up front, which is in the planning and understanding your organization, the industry, and the risks involved to help us design an audit that's most effective and efficient as possible and identify and test any risks that were identified throughout our process. We look at significant audit areas that include cash and investments, collectibility of receivables, the accounts payable and accrual process, grant compliance, and the cost allocation. And we also look at key accounting policies, revenue recognition, investment valuation, and net asset classification. We do an assessment of the control environment. That is the overall control environment itself, the tone at the top, the intention or the designation of integrity for all employees, the risk assessment that's done by management, the control activities in place, which we'll go through the next slide, how information is shared within the organization, and monitoring activities, the reviews that are done throughout the year. And we did deem all of those to be effective. The different control procedures that we looked at, and again, I won't go into detail, but that includes the treasury process, estimation process, financial reporting, the closing process of the statements, the revenue recognition, the payroll process, expenditures, and fixed assets. And we did our control testing and our walkthroughs, and these were all deemed to be effective. On this slide, we highlight on a 3-year basis the financial statements, and you can see total assets has increased during the year from about 8.8 million in 2024 to about 8.9 million in 2025. The biggest driver here is the increase in the accounts receivable, and there is some offset with some of the decreases with the right of use asset. On the total liabilities, that has remained pretty consistent during the year, and net asset has grown by that 141,000 from about 3.4 million in 24 to about 3.5 million in 25. On here, you have a highlight of the statement of activities, and you can see that total operating revenue has increased to about 8.4 million in 2024 compared to about 10.2 million in 2025. The biggest driver of that is the federal grant, the PWP program, and you'll see the offsetting expenditures as well. So total operating expenses went from about 8.2 to about 10 million in 2025, overall with the net growth in the net assets. In our single audit, we tested a major program, which is 2205, which is passed through MDOT, Unified Transportation Planning Program, about 4.3 million in expenditures. We had an unmodified or clean opinion on the single audit, and there were no single audit findings noted in the report. And going through our required communications, if we had anything of negative of nature to report, we bring that to your attention. We're really reminding you that the financial statements are the responsibility of management. We're performing an audit in accordance with standards to provide an opinion that the statements are reasonably free from material misstatement. We look at the accounting policies for management, and we did deem those to be acceptable accounting policies. There were no audit adjustments noted during the audit period, and nor were we made aware of any fraud or illegal acts, nor we discover any fraud or illegal acts throughout our audit testing. There were no material weaknesses in internal controls. We're not aware that the financial statements are included in any other documents. There were no disagreements with management during the audit process, and no serious difficulties encountered in performing the audit. No major issues discussed with management prior to acceptance that would hinder our ability to accept the audit. And then as part of our completion of the audit, we received certain written representations from management to conclude on the audit and issue the statements. To our knowledge, there was no consultations with other accountants during the audit process. That's what we call opinion shopping. If management disagreed with the way we believed an accounting policy should be interpreted and understood, and went to look for another firm that would accept it. And throughout our audit process, we go through an independence process to make sure we're independent of the organization. We do assist with the financial statement preparation, which is what's considered a non-attest service, but that does not hinder our independence, and we are considered to be independent of the council. Like I mentioned, this is not a fraud audit in scope, but we do our required standards related to fraud, and we make sure that we have the required discussions and are looking out for fraud at all throughout the audit process. And I wanted to highlight our bullseye philosophy. This is our SBC approach and how we measure our success with our clients. You can see on the right, there's a picture here that we measure whether we have a quality product, the financial statements, quality service, providing service to management and to council, our quality relationship, and our quality knowledge, that we're building a relationship so management can approach us with questions and that we can provide the knowledge they need to make sure that the statements are appropriate and any guidance throughout the accounting process. I included our contact information, so if you have any questions after this, please feel free to reach out anytime. And then I will open it up to see if there are any questions today on the audited financial statements.
There are no questions. Do we have a motion to approve the audit?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Thank you all.
Thank you. Yeah, so we're gonna hear from Mike now. I just want to say, I know one of the things that you're going to talk about is the Chesapeake Leadership Academy, and I want to say how impressed I was when I got to speak to the group at the end. They had a little final thing at Metropolitan in Annapolis. And I think there were folks from all of our counties, their staff, sort of mid-level potential department head folks. And they were very clear that they got a lot out of this program. So it's a first-year program, and I hope we continue it.
Great, thank you, County Executive. So the first thing I will talk about, I have three or four quick updates before we head on to the BRTB portion. I do want to talk about the Chesapeake Leadership Academy. This was a new program we started this summer, and the idea was to take early to mid-career county and board employees. And the idea was to nominate folks who have the potential to be department heads and put them through a program where we can expose them to all of our different jurisdictions and a whole range of leadership styles and leaders around local government. This is just a slide showing who we had speak. We started off with government relations. where we were lucky enough to have Senate President Ferguson's Chief of Staff and the Governor's Chief Legislative Officer speak to us. We had a program on housing and economic development at the 4MLK building. For communications, we had former BMC board member Tony Bridges. I'm not sure that's how Tony leads his bio, but it's how I lead his bio. Talked to us about community engagement, and Howard Libet, who served as Mayor Rawlings Blake's communications chief during the uprising in Baltimore, talked about that experience from a communications perspective. We had a wonderful program on risk management, HR, and budget. Carroll County's budget director gave one of the highest rated presentations in the summer. Everybody loved it. We visited the city garage for public works. We were lucky enough to have the city fire chief and Anne Arundel County's assistant police chief talk about public safety. Our second to last session, we had 3 chief administrative officers from Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and Anne Arundel speak. And then lastly, we did close with a meeting with County Executive Pittman. It's something I've heard good feedback from on the board. We're going to build it out a little bit next year and really make it a cornerstone of our annual program here at BMC. So thank you guys for your support with that. And if there are suggestions about who should come speak and who you would like to see involved, please let me know. We'll reach out this spring about that. Here's some photos of the group. Again, former BMC member Bridges at the bottom left there, but it was a really great experience for everybody involved. Next, I want to talk about the Baltimore Regional Cooperative Purchasing Board, which everyone obviously knows is BRICPAC. BRICPAC's Energy Board has released their results for FY25. This is the program where the jurisdictions, the public school systems, the county buildings, and the community colleges engage in an energy purchasing program. In FY25, not FY24, I apologize. The regional savings were $13.8 million, which is a drop from last year, but still a significant savings. FY24 savings were $29 million due to incredibly low energy prices, but $13.8 million is still excellent for us. The other update we have is that Carroll County Public Schools, which was the only public school system not part of the program, has actually joined the consortium. And we have a full report that we will send out that gives you jurisdiction by jurisdiction details. This is the cumulative saving over the years. We've now, FY7 to 14 are bumped together. We started this program. It was conceived in 2005 after Maryland deregulated the energy market. You can see here, in total, we've saved $333 million since the program began. And even our $13.8 million of saving in FY25 is above average for our savings. So it continues to be a wonderful money saving program. And it's something that we hope to expand in the future with investment in renewable energy products. Any questions there? 3 reports that I'd like to talk about in programs. First, BMC is managing our region's climate pollution reduction grant, the CPRG. This has been a 2-year effort to develop regional strategies for carbon reduction. The report right now is out for public comment. It will be released in November. We'll do a full briefing when the report comes out, but I want everyone to be aware that this is out there. All of our jurisdictions are involved in this. We do have 1 remaining program on the grant. This is EPA funded and has continued to see funding through the new administration. Next year, we will be developing an online training program. We just got the RFPs in for use in local government to talk about local government impacts on climate change for employees. This summer, we also released the Baltimore Regional Fair Housing Plan. This is an update to a 2020 plan. It's the 3rd iteration of this that we have released. It replaces the 2020 analysis of impediments to fair housing choice. And what this plan does is identify barriers to fair housing and identifies regional action steps. And then local jurisdictions put forth their own action steps that our staff will help coordinate and help try and push forward as much as we can in the next 5 years. Not every jurisdiction is a participant in this. These are entitlement jurisdictions that receive direct HUD voucher money. Carroll County and Queen Anne's County do not receive those funds, are not part of this committee, although the city of Westminster does participate. And I can keep everyone posted on this, but this is, when we started this, we were one of 2 regions in the country that developed this plan on a regional level. And now I think that number's up to about 15. It's a model that others are replicating. The Central Maryland Regional Transit Plan, which is not a BMC plan, MTA puts this out. It's an update of a 2020 plan, but it is set for approval by the Baltimore Regional Transit Commission. That approval should be coming in the next few weeks, Madam Secretary, unless I'm wrong. Again, this is an update of a plan that was originally put out in 2020. Initially, this plan had a separate commission to work on it. And with the creation of the BRTC, that's now one of the duties of the BRTC to approve this. And this really identifies priority corridors for MTA to invest in the next 5 years. It's a great way for the local jurisdictions to be involved and understand exactly sort of where the future is for MTA investment. And lastly, I will close with Chesapeake Connect. I thought we had a wonderful trip. Thank you for the kind words from the executive. And the county executive writes a wonderful weekly newsletter, and every year we give him good material for this. So thank you. Check that out as well. I won't recap the whole thing. This is the first year that every single board member was there, but it continues to be a fantastic learning experience. And a great way to make connections and relationships. Every year, friendships and professional relationships form on this trip that I hear nothing about until it's too late to brag about them. So if you hear about things happening, if you hear about good outcomes, please let me know. Because we can never capture all of them, but I know that they happen. And we'll be circulating all the trip photos. This is our group shot.
That was the hardest part of the trip.
Listen, if that was the hardest part of the trip, then we must have done a very good job. We had almost everybody in here and everybody stood pretty still. So good job to you guys. So that is a very quick executive director's report from me. I'm certainly happy to answer any questions, take any comments from the board. All right, I will, I'm not saying you have to make them, so I'm happy to sit down and say thank you very much.
Yeah, right. Right, is that it? So we don't need a motion to adjourn, we're just gonna do it, right?
Yep, we can adjourn the BMC and everybody can stay right where they are and we'll switch right over to the VRTP portion.
Yeah. Right.